Let me say a word about relations. Up to now, sort of the bedrock of our approach to almost everything has been functions. And a function connects input values, arguments, to an output or return value. And that return value can be anything, but what makes it a function is that every time you call the function with the same arguments, you always get the same value. So putting that more broadly, with functions, there's only ever one answer to a given question, right? Relations are different. There can be dozens of things that are in the relation likes with Brian. There can be, lots of people who like the same thing. Who likes ice cream? Yeah. So a relation, one way of looking at it is that it's a Boolean function, a predicate function, I should say, that returns true or false. So a relation, you give it a bunch of input values, and it's either true or false that this relation holds among these values. So what in functional programming we would think of as the answer is instead just one of the arguments to the relation. Does that make sense? Footnote, if you're a mathematician, you think about it differently. If you're a mathematician, first you define what a relation is. And then you say, well, a function is a relation with certain constraints. So you can do it either way. But for programming purposes, I think it's easiest to start with the idea of functions, which you've seen before. Actually, you've seen relations before back in high school algebra. Relations are things like less than or equal to. And in math notation, you put the less than or equal to in between two values. But we move it out to the front for the same reason that we moved function names out to the front, like plus. Namely, you can have any number of arguments. So we will have complicated relations among 4 different things. So, for example, division is a relation among a dividend, a divisor, a quotient, and a remainder. Okay, so this is integer division. So this is true if dividing the dividend by the divisor gives that quotient and that remainder. Okay? But relations in general can have many, many different ways to satisfy them. So 3 is less than what? Okay, that would be an example of something with infinitely many possible answers. 3 is less than 4, 3 is less than 5, 3 is less than 6, 3 is less than a million, 3 is less than a Googleplex, and so on. So in principle, if I could put in that relation into the system and then ask 3 is less than what, I should get out an infinite number of answers.